All right, Dustin, and then Tom Brew.
Hi, guys.
How you doing, Coach?
Doing awesome.
Outstanding. One thing Coach Allen and Coach Sheridan talked a lot about in the spring was adding some more sort of variance to the run game. I know obviously you can't give away schemes or specifics or anything like that, but how do you think progress in that is going? And I guess just what does that mean to you guys to be more, I guess, multiple in the run game?
Yeah, just with COVID last year, going into that season, we just knew that time on task and reps at things we wanted to, be able to try to be good at, and with as much defense we knew we were going to see throughout the season, we kind of watered it down a little bit, and I just say we, kind of getting back to normal football. It's been great. The guys have been responsive. It's stuff that that they've done before. It's some things that we've done before in the past, and it's just football. It's O-line stuff that has been good, and it's been they picked it up. Our defense throws a lot at us, which is awesome because we're learning to have to adjust to some things, and not just the zone game, but the other schemes that we're running. And I think it's been a good productive fall camp.
All right, Tom, and then Matt Weaver.
Darren, Coach Allen and Nick have both sort of mentioned with Dylan McCullough here now, and him sort of bringing some of those NFL ideas with him. What sort of things have gone on, if anything, in regards to your conversations with him in the run game and such? Has there been things you've been able to benefit from together there as well?
Yeah, there's always whenever you have the opportunity to look at things through different lenses, it's always great, right? I mean, and for no reason, I don't think that I've never thought I'd known everything about. But I will say this, coaching offensive line and the run game, there's really three types of schemes. There's zone schemes, there's gap schemes, and there's man schemes. And so, it's just sometimes when you're, when you're going through it and you're installing it, and it's really not specifically what we're doing offensively. It's how is the defensive attacking us, and then how can we be better to fit, to get our stuff going, pointing in the right direction in the run game, and having Dylan come in and some of the stuff that they were doing at that level, and even when he was at SC, and even prior to that when he was here at Indiana before he left. There's always things, and it's awesome because we got a great staff on offense, and we got a lot of different ideas, and we got all come from different backgrounds. But you can go out there and get a playbook this big and have a lot of really fancy plays in it. But if the kids can't do it, it doesn't matter. So the biggest thing has been the best way to get it across to our players, make it as easy as possible to be able to adjust to whatever the defense is doing and throwing at us.
Matt, then Zach.
Hey, Coach, how you doing?
Hey, brother.
Taylor was just here, and he mentioned, I don't know if you heard me, how he's playing at a weight that he has not been at since he was sophomore, junior in high school. Obviously, getting back with the strength staff has really helped his conditioning. What have you seen from him as far as how much that has helped him as a player with being able to move better, just being lighter on his feet for a guy, obviously, who's really an enormous human being anyway? Just how much has it helped his game this fall camp with that weight being gone?
Yeah, it's been tremendous. I mean, he's he and I have had these conversations since 2017, and I think he finally in January really committed to it. It's he's a guy that when he's been in the building, he's always been great. He always worked, and whether it would be in the weight room or on the practice field, it was just always a matter of what was he doing when he was outside the building, and the weight always kind of he battled that, and it's showing up from a just from a quickness standpoint. He just looks better running, changing direction. Just all of his movement that he's doing out there, it just shows up. Now, there's always still football things from an offensive line perspective that he's got to get cleaned up and take from the drill work to the teamwork and all those things. But he's moving a lot better, and I can tell you it looks a lot better. I mean, I'm watching the film, and you know how it is when you're around the guys every single day and you see them on a consistent basis, you kind of forget what they used to look like. And we were throwing on some film of 2019 and 2020, going back and looking at some things, and it was drastic when you looked out there and you seen the 77 in those 2 years compared to right now when I'm sitting there looking at him every day. So I look forward to him having a great football season.
Real quick, have you banned him from going to his father's restaurant?
No, I'm not gonna ban him from going anywhere. We're just gonna, the biggest thing I think that it's always been discussed. I think Coach Wellman has been really, really good. Coach Wellman and his staff does a great job. But I think Coach Wellman coming from the NFL, which Caleb has those aspirations, I think the light bulb came on in that regard. I think that's been big.
Second, Kevin.
Just asking about another guy. I know Mike Kadick is a guy that the staff is held in high regard and believe he can be a really, really good player. We saw a lot of him last year. How have you seen him maybe pick up what he did last year and translate it through this offseason into kind of being more of the mainstay, maybe finding a little bit more of a voice on that offensive line and maybe not being quite the young guy in the room, I guess, anymore?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, the difference that I see in Mike is his approach to the day in regards to starting in the meeting room and then out there on the field. I think, just like all these guys, most of them, they come from high school and number one, they were the big man on campus usually, and then they get here and some of them have, they have different personalities, and Mike's a fun-loving guy, and I think that early on in his career, he was, there was a lot of joking and his attention to detail wasn't very good. And I just say now that I just see a huge difference in him, how he approaches the day. And I'm talking about from when he comes in the meeting room, like I ask him a question and he answers the question. There's no BS, there's no chatter, and then when other guys, if I ask the same guy the same question later on who maybe, down the depth chart and he doesn't know the answer to it, Mike will jump his butt and get on his butt and say, man, I just answered that question. Like, basically get your stuff together, and just the growth on his approach on a daily basis. And then, from the football perspective, it's just time on task. I mean, he's better right now than he was because he's just a little bit older and he's done the things over and over and over. And again, he's still a young player that has things that, we're working on, and he knows that. But the great thing is I see him trying to fix those issues versus not recognizing them and just going out and doing the same thing over and over.
Kevin and Matt Cohn.
Yeah, Coach, Caleb talked about being a better run blocking offensive line. Is that how much of that is a mindset, you think, or how much of that is communication and development as well?
Well, I just think that we're always trying to run the football, and and I think there was times last year that we did run the football good, but there was games, and I don't want to rehash last year because last year's last year, but there was games that we didn't run the football very well, and so we're always trying to establish the run game. There's times that defenses are going to put more dudes in there than we can block, and when they do that, what we have to do is be able to block the ones that we feel like schematically are the most important. And if we do hand the ball off to the running back, if he's got to make a guy miss or run through a tackle, if there's an extra dude in the box, he's got to do that. And it's a mentality. It's I think you said it is a mentality, and it's got to be a mentality of we just can't, just because they stack the box doesn't mean we got to throw the football. Like, yeah, there's answers to that, but we also have to be able to say, hey, you know what? We don't care how many dudes are in there. And I think there were some times last year during the season that, we had to close out a couple games, and we were able to run the football, generate some first downs in late game situations against heavy boxes. And I think we proved that we can do it at times, but the consistency wasn't there. So it's just a grind. It's just always, just getting through the details and being as best as we can in there and being tough enough and being strong enough.
All right, Matt and Dustin.
So on Caleb one more time.
Yeah.
You mentioned, a light bulb of sorts going off when he was working with Aaron and knowing he wanted to get to the NFL. Was there like a specific moment or like a point of sorts when that light bulb went off? Something that kind of incited that light bulb to go off to kind of start this dieting and working toward the NFL?
Nah, I don't think it's really. I think it's growth. I think it's age and growth. I really, going into spring of whatever that was, 20, when we got shut down with the pandemic. Everything, he was trending the right way. Everything was going good, and then, just him not being in the building and it not being structured and all that stuff, it wasn't good. And then he got back, and we were going to play, and he was, back on it and grinding and trying to get it right. And then, we had the Big Ten shut down for, the 17 days or 18 days, whatever that was. So they went in and did a little cleanup on his ankle. And then they came back and said, we are going to play. So you talk about a guy that, there was, you just look across the country, there's opt-outs all over the country. And Caleb Jones at that time could have very well just said, hey, look, I don't think I'm going to be ready to play, and he didn't. He said, hey, look, I'm going to be ready to play. I'm going to be ready for game one. And talking with the medical staff and them, we didn't know if game one was going to be a for sure date. We knew that was going to be in question, and we just felt like we'd get him back. And, lo and behold, he goes out there and he's playing game one. So to me, there was growth. That was kind of the first part of that. And then we get through the 2020 season, and we get to January, and when we sat down and talked, he and I just told him, I said, hey, look, what you do from now until January of 2022, this next calendar year, is going to make or break you. It's gonna put you in a position that you want to be in, or you're not going to allow yourself to be in that position. And the biggest thing was he just on the weekends he was doing the right things. He was coming back, and he wasn't. The weight wasn't back up. It wasn't back up a couple pounds to where he was, one step forward, two steps back. There was just more consistency in his life. And I think Wellman and Wellman being here and talking to him about the reality of what the NFL is, which we've talked to him about it, but maybe, I don't know, maybe these kids don't believe old Coach Hiller and Coach Allen and the rest of us because we're college football coaches. I think maybe Wellman came from the NFL and said the same thing we were saying, but maybe that's when the light bulb came on. I don't really know, but I just think that the young man has done a great job of taking care of his business, did a great job of leading the group in the summertime and the player-run practices, and it's showing up on the football field. You just watch him play in and play out, and there's things that we got to get cleaned up. Matter of fact, I just made a five clip little deal for him that he and I got to sit down and I'm trying to help them all and all that. But I specifically with him, there's some things because he's getting frustrated at some things, and I just see the growth and the want to and the eagerness.
If I can follow up super quick, just what are those things in the video?
What's that?
If I can follow up super quick, if that's okay, like what are the things that are in the
Oh,
video that you want him to work on?
it's just technique things. I don't want to talk about specifics. It's just some things that he's doing it at practice, and it's not show. I'll just say this: if it's like when I grade a film, okay, they get every guy gets 3 pluses or 3 minuses on every play. They get an assignment grade, they get a technique grade, and they get a finish grade. And the finish grade is they did their job or they didn't do their job. Okay, and there's a lot of plays that if you know what to do and you use poor technique, you can still get your job done. It just depends upon the guy you're going against. And when you're going against a guy that's a really good football player, if you use poor technique, that's typically going to lead to you not finishing, and you're not going to be able to get your job done. If a guy that you're going against is playing at a high level or is an elite player. And there's just some things that Caleb has to do some things better. He's blocking people. It's not that he's not blocking them, but he's doing some things, little nuances that I got to show him, and he's got to keep harping on. I got to keep harping on because when he plays against high elite competition, which in the Big Ten he's going to play against a lot of weeks, and in our non-conference schedule, so week in and week out, he's going to have to be better.
All right, Dustin, then we'll wrap up with Tom.
Yeah, Darren, just want to ask about a couple of other individuals, particularly Luke Haggard and Matt Bedford. How have you seen those guys just grow up in this offseason through the spring and through camp so far? What do you like about what's improved about their games?
It's been awesome, man. Those guys, Haggard, you talk about a guy that, came in here at 257 pounds, I believe. Last year played at about 275. He's now over 300. I don't know if it's quite 305, 302, 303, but over 300 pounds is so much bigger, so much stronger, so much better just physically out there on the football field, which is showing up and it's helping him. And then for him, it's a lot of time on task. He's a guy that went to junior college. His freshman year in junior college, played D-end. Sophomore year, they stuck him at left tackle, and heck, he didn't know anything about playing offensive line. He didn't play offensive line in high school or anything like that. So last year, plan was to redshirt him last year, and he ended up playing. And so just the growth. It's just time on task, but so much better. The knowledge of the scheme, understanding what we're doing, the communication, all that's getting better. Still a long ways to go in that regard for him compared to some of the other guys, but it's so much better than what it was a year ago. Matthew Bedford, again, same thing. You think about, I go back to 2019, and, Matt Bedford in 2019 wasn't ready to play college football mentally. I mean, physically, he had tools, but mentally he wasn't ready, and we had some injuries, and he ended up starting that Michigan State game and played whatever it was, 6 or 7 games that year, and then last year played for us. But his thing is just time on task. It's just continuing to hone his craft, learn football, not just what he does, but just the game of football. A lot of things we talk about in the room is football 101. I mean, you just got to understand what the defense is trying to do, and you can't just know what your assignment is, because when the ball is snapped, the defense is allowed to move. They're allowed to line up in different fronts. They're allowed to bring different pressures, and we have to be able to adjust to that. And for him, that growth has been great to see, where before it was like, hey, as long as they lined up in one spot and he knew what exactly he was good. And then and now it's those little mistakes or the little hesitations in him are drastically reduced. So it's been fun. Both of those guys, same thing. Whereas Caleb Jones has played more football than those guys, so just naturally those nuances don't affect him as much.
All right, Tom, last one.
Here we've had a chance to talk a lot about the tackles and such, but can you tell us about how you feel about those interior spots and the kind of competition that's been going on, and your comfort level with your depth there?
Yeah, it's been great. We got a bunch of guys battling inside. You got Dylan Powell, and you got Charlie O'Connor. You got Tim Weaver. You got Randy Holtz. You got Khalil Benson. You got Cam Knight. You got I know I'm forgetting some guy. Brady Feeney, Vinny Fiacable. There's a lot of guys in there battling, and Ricky Tang. I mean, there's a ton of those guys, and actually shook up the depth chart yesterday a little bit after yesterday's practice, and there was as you can expect, there were some long faces if guys went the wrong way on that depth chart. But at the same time, what they have to understand is competition breeds success, and all we're trying to do is figure out who the best 5 guys are that we can put out there and play week 1, and then from every week thereafter, just try to find out and moving guys around, guys playing different positions. We're just trying to figure out who the best 5 guys are, and then from there, who's the 6th, 7th, 8th guy. And however high that number goes, I'd like to have 10 guys. I'd like to have 12 guys, but I've been doing it a long time, and we just figure out the guys that can help us win and be productive and execute, and we'll go from there.